Hello and welcome to Action Action. My name is James, and each week we watch a movie to decide where it ranks in our ultimate list of the greatest action movies of all time. This week we watched Mad Max Fury Road, starring Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron.
In this wasteland, I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead. A man reduced to a single instinct. Survive.
It is by my hand! You arise from the ashes of this world!
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
Well, I want to start by welcoming back
John.
Dustin?
So, what did you guys watch this week?
I got kind of a hankering for animated movies for some reason this week. I rewatched The Incredibles, which I hadn't seen since it was new.
I've actually never watched The Incredibles.
Oh, that's pretty fun.
That's a fucking shocker after last week when you rattled off all the other shows that you haven't watched.
Right.
I watched that, and then I watched early Miyazaki, Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind. And I'm planning on watching a whole bunch more cartoons. For some reason, I'm in a cartoon mood.
Cool.
Come on, guys, get into it.
You're going to watch... Well, okay, so I think that you should watch that fucking Brad Pitt one.
What is that?
The one where it's like...
Cool World?
Cool World. So
Holy
you watch
shit.
that one.
No, I feel like watching old... Like, I got, like, Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, that's a great one.
Hey, now you're talking about my childhood.
Sword in the Stone.
Oh,
I got.
Sword in the Stone, yeah.
Yeah, one
And I
of the
also
best.
got Black Cauldron because I've never seen it, and I've always meant to see it.
I think I own it somewhere. I think it's
Really?
over... Yeah, I think so.
It's like the one PG-13
Yeah.
Disney cartoon or whatever.
Yeah. I think it was made just after Walt Disney died.
Oh, yeah.
It's in that, like...
They were like, oh, we can get away from the old
think it was
man and
his-
his
Yeah.
strict rules.
Yeah.
You have it?
I don't know. It's not there on that wall,
I
but
don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's like a fantasy kind of Disney cartoon. But,
those are all my favorite
but
Disney.
nobody, like, I don't think it did all that well
Oh,
for some
I see.
reason.
Those are my favorite Disney cartoons era, like The Great Mouse Detective and Robin Hood, Sword in the Stone. Those are
all, well, I mean, Sword in the Stone is older. Like, that's like from I didn't realize it was that old. It's like from 1963 or something.
yeah.
Great Mouse Detective's from like the 85 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to watching those because I haven't seen those in a long time. And I also got a whole bunch of anime. I feel like watching anime for some
You
reason.
have a lot of free time to watch movies.
I do.
Yeah, definitely.
Works out nicely.
I watched part of Out for Justice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we watched it at work.
I figured we would do it at some point, but
No, it's fine. We watched it like it's just in the brewery, so it's just like on. We're
Yeah.
not like,
did you see him fuck some people up?
oh shit, yeah, in the pool hall.
Yeah.
Anybody seen Richie?
Oh fuck! Yeah, it's like the bad guy, like right off the bat, it's like doing crack. In
Oh,
his-
yeah, William
He's like
Forsythe.
psychotic.
yeah, fuck, it's great.
Billy Forsythe, yeah.
It's a great movie. So I watched part of that, and then we're watching Christmas movies at work. So like,
Yeah.
oh man, that god awful Grinch movie with
Oh, shit. Yeah, I watched part of
Jim.
that not too long ago either. My sister was insisting on watching it. It is blasphemous.
it is
that piece of
terrible.
shit.
It is a fucking terrible movie.
Why would you just not watch the cartoon? Like, why?
I don't know. We watched the cartoon with the kids. Like
Yeah.
it's just on all the time. It's fantastic. It's like it's charming and it's just great. And then there's this fucking abomination.
It is.
All those movies
It
are
is
bad,
an
though.
abomination.
I've
I've never seen the whole thing. I just watched like 20 minutes of it, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Sorry, James.
I read a thing that when that was being filmed, it was either just before or while he was filming Man on the Moon.
Oh yeah.
So he was like so into character for that movie that it crossed like
Oh, really? He brought some of that over to
it
the Grinch?
affected him in the Grinch. Yeah. Which
He's
is
a real
interesting.
Daniel Day-Lewis. He's a real character.
Well,
you can't let it
he
go.
had a bit of a rep for that. Well, especially for Man on the Moon.
Oh, that documentary just came out.
Oh yeah, about him being Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah. What else?
Do you remember the character when he plays the like nightclub singer guy? It was
Yeah.
like a Kaufman character.
Yeah.
That part always kills me.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh so much.
It used to be on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Man on the Moon. I think that's how I watched the entire thing.
Oh yeah, just on TV.
It was on like cable.
So let's talk about plot.
Well, let's talk about Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Switching gears like they do in this movie.
Nice segue. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about
So the plot's pretty basic. It's pretty well, I mean, it's pretty simple on its surface. People want to get away.
Yeah,
They
really describing it.
they find out that where they're going isn't what they thought it was. They realize that the only hope is actually back where they began, and they make their way back.
Mhm.
I mean, as a basic plot, that's what it is, but it's about a lot more than that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Well, I mean, I think overall it is a pretty simple and thin plot, but it tells the story it needs to, for the most part. I think like it gets it across pretty well, considering that it's like almost a nonstop action movie that is like continually moving and vehicles. Like they're not. There's not much stoppage. There's a few times.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like 15 minutes where they're not like heart attack racing across the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the plot is pretty basic. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like
really, I think it's so interesting. Like you get a lot out of what is in the plot. Like
They do manage to.
Oh,
with all
I agree.
So like, there's a lot. There's the like their mission is simple. Like, you know, get from A to B.
Yeah.
And then get from B back to A. But all the things that happen along the way are pretty interesting when you like. They build this entire world in a chase scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so you get a really firm sense of what the world is like, how there's these different tribes and they have different responsibilities. And like, you get a sense of how their economy works. And, you know, there's obviously a lot of questions about like, where are all the women? There's no women other than the main characters.
There aren't any women down amongst all the poor.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
No, in that, I meant the people that are attacking them throughout the film. There's no,
Yeah. Well, they're all like war boys. They're all like.
yeah,
these,
but there's no women on the bullet team. The Man-Eater doesn't have any women on his team. There's no indication any of the people on the bikes are women.
No, I don't think any
No.
of them are.
No.
I think they're all men.
The women are just being used for
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes on with like I
producing
think with
children
that.
and milk.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting, and I think they actually like they go pretty far in explaining like this is the world that they live in. This is what they're rebelling against. They're looking for something more. There was something more. Now it's gone, and they're trying to reclaim that. So I think that there is like all this stuff that's happening around this like core action sequences, like 3 sequences or whatever, like one sequence, but like that actually explains a lot more about what's happening. There's more going on than just the chase.
Yeah, they managed to fill in a lot of stuff while the chase is happening.
Yeah, and I think that a plot, like a good indication of a good plot is like that it has something to say, that there's a message, there's messages behind it, multiple layers of it, and I think this movie has a lot to say. Different people, like the roles that people have come to, and why people have given image. Was it, how do you say his name? Joe.
Immortan Joe.
Immortan Joe, like how he has this power and how he controls the water, and they're all like this class system, and like how what would happen if there was a apocalyptic type event.
Probably something not that different from, from
Yeah.
that, where a bunch of men take over
And like, is it
everything.
possible for women to like what is their role in this, and how do they survive, and what can they do?
Well, okay, but there must be some women, because Furiosa is a driver for Immortan Joe.
She's the only woman that we see.
Yeah.
She's the
But
only
it makes
woman.
me think that she can't be the only one. There
I think
must be-
she is.
Which is kind of, yeah, it's kind of a...
Because then it doesn't make sense in its own world.
Yeah, it makes sense for the movie that she's a woman, but...
Why doesn't it make
Like-
sense for the world?
Because you just said
Because it
no
doesn't
women are
fit.
given those positions. So why would she be given it?
Well, because obviously she's a standout. Just like all women aren't producers of babies.
Well, yeah. No,
I mean, like-
I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying in this world, that's how they're looking at women.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's probably due to her singular skill as a driver, as a mechanic, as something.
Right. But how would she even get a chance to
okay, but I
show
don't,
that?
I don't know. There's a comic book that came up beforehand that I haven't read.
Yeah, apparently there
so
are some
maybe
comics, yeah.
so maybe that explains how she got into the position. But she could be the only woman. Like they give no indication that other women have any roles.
No,
though.
yeah, that's true. You don't really see anything
Or-
other than
On top of my head, maybe a reason is because her job is so important that Joe doesn't trust a man with it, because a man would use it as a power move, and he thinks that women wouldn't use it as a power move.
Yeah, like all the people that are following him are so loyal to him, other than that one guy, whatever his name is.
who the guy that
Nux?
switches, Nux.
Yeah.
But he was super loyal.
Yeah, but he was. Yeah,
That's one of my one issues with this movie.
He was super loyal until
Until he talked to a redhead for about
no,
2
that's
minutes.
not what that's
Yeah,
not what
exactly.
happened. It was because he Immortan Joe turned his back on him. He pretty much cursed him. He pretty much like abandoned him.
Yeah.
And in that abandonment, he like,
It's a real quick turnaround, though.
oh, it is.
I mean, I know that there's not really time to do it another way in this movie if you want to keep things rolling. So you kind of have to sacrifice one or the other, right?
No, but
you
maybe
sacrifice showing a more complex change in him to get to that point.
Yeah.
Or you sacrifice the pace of the movie. So right,
well,
you can't have both.
It's so quickly he goes from he looked at me and I am like now
Yeah, I'm
in
like
his favor
he's fanatically worshiping him and
to all of a
then,
sudden
a cute girl. Okay,
But-
like now I'm on this side.
Yeah, I don't think
now it
it's,
goes against like everything he
ever
obviously
believed in his
grown
entire
up
life.
believing.
I
yeah.
don't think is that simple. That it's just that he changed his mind that quickly. It's probably also the only time he's ever been shown any type of compassion or softness. He's probably never had anything in his life, and he probably is feeling like this is like he feels abandoned.
I think
and
it's-
somebody's like picking him up and giving him an opportunity. And I think the reason that it works more so than what I think you guys are saying is how quickly, before he even switches the sides, how quickly he and Max work together. So like there's the scene with, we'll talk about in the action sequences, but there's a scene when Max fights Furiosa,
Yeah,
right?
He's helping Max though because he thinks, oh, we're gonna stop them and still get them for Joe.
Yes, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that he obviously like, he bonds quickly. He works quickly with people because that's all he knows. All he knows is like doing these things. So he works with them, and then all of a sudden these people show him a different side, a different like little glimpse into something, and he's broken, and he changes. Like he's not above changing.
I just think him changing so quickly is he's a victim of the plot not being like that's a plot problem.
It is, I think, but like I said, I think they could only have one or the other. They can't have both.
And I understand to keep the pace and the action going, you have to sacrifice the plot.
Yeah, and I
And
mean,
that's what they
I don't
did.
think it's to the degree that it
Not to
really
the-
detracts
no.
much from the movie. I
No.
just think in another movie they would have done it in a more gradual way to make it seem a little bit more, I don't know, just like an actual. And I like all the things you're saying, I think are true. I just don't think that that's all necessarily there on the screen. You can kind of like do some of that mental gymnastics yourself to get to that point.
I also obviously read some things about like different people's opinions about the movie, and something that somebody said was that how Nux is so different from the rest of. They describe him as being quite different from the rest of like the, what are they called, War Boys?
War Boys.
He's he's cleaner. He looks different. He's like smaller, slighter in
Yeah,
comparison.
but I thought that's because he's like dying. Because they talk about them having these half-lives.
Yeah.
Or half-life warboys.
Yeah.
I never fully understood that though. Like, is that just because whatever the Earth is so fucked up, they only live that long, or like they all get this disease?
Well, they have cancer.
Like they all have these cancers. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the film have cancer.
Right.
But like, I think that he's just supposed to be slightly different than, like, look at who he's teamed up with, right? So he's teamed up with like Slit, who's like this grotesque. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's healthy, right?
Well, I mean, his
and
lips are scarred too, though. Like
his lips are scarred, but he's got like cuts all the way up. Like,
no, but I mean, Nux has scarred lips as well. It's not like, and he has the lumps, and
he
so I
does.
don't think he looks terribly different.
I think he looks. He's not to the extent, I don't think, of the other guy.
Well, I mean, they obviously chose this actor whose name I can't think of right now. He's been in a bunch of other stuff. This young guy.
We're really good at this.
Nicholas something, I want to say, but
Wind and Refn. Holt.
They obviously chose him because he has like a bit of a softer face, and like his features aren't as
And I think that's
hard
they did it on
angular.
purpose.
Yeah.
They did it on purpose to show that he's not necessarily for that world. Like, he has the ability to change, where Slit might not have had the ability. Like,
Well, I think they just wanted to make the transition visually, so that then they didn't have to like necessarily do that, like plot wise.
Well, it's just one more thing to kind of help with that changeover, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we haven't really even established this world we're talking about or anything. We just kind of like dove right in here. But
well, I think this is kind of movie where like it's hard to talk about it in like segmented.
Well, we don't have to talk about segmented. I just mean like setting up at least a little bit of like what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, you very quickly like get the feeling that like it shows all the people and they're like completely homeless and like missing teeth and like just all looking up to see is he gonna
give us some water
today.
Not very much either.
Yeah.
He tells them don't get addicted to it. It's a crutch or whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't it called Aqua Cola?
Yeah, Aqua Cola.
Oh, okay.
Everything has weird terms like guzzling.
All
this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of weird like slang in this movie too. Like when Max first tries to steal the truck with them, and he's in there with his guns pointed at them, and Charlize is driving, and then all the wives are in the back seat, and the one says to him, "He's a smeg who eats schlanger."
Yeah.
Apparently, schlanger is Australian slang for dick.
Yeah, well, she says something about that later on too. She says like another.
She calls Joe a schlanger later on when he is driving beside them or whatever. But there's all kinds of weird little terms and stuff like that. And then, of course, you get all the shiny and chrome and all that stuff.
Yeah, Valhalla.
Yeah, what they spray paint their mouths with the silver spray paint. And they're like, get all jacked up.
Well, I think the chrome is a reference to like inhaling like some.
Yeah, it's another Australian thing for doing inhalants. Because that's what apparently that stuff is to get them high so that they'll like fight more intensely for Joe. But they think of it as being like a religious ritual, the war boys. Like they don't know that this is just to like get them jacked up and
exactly.
violent and stuff.
It's not that much different than what like armies have always done.
Yeah, no.
Like, oh, see, there you go. A little more commentary.
So, but Joe realizes, once he realizes that...
Yeah, so Furiosa has supposedly gone on a gas and bullet run.
Yeah.
Yeah, exchanging mother's milk for breast milk for bullets and gas.
And gasoline.
And then you see him running through, like, you get like a behind the scenes of what's going on.
Yeah, once she turns off the path and she's going a different direction.
And you see all the women like breastfeeding to get the milk, and then all the hydroponics, and then he opens the vault.
Got to get that chronic. Chronic road, am I right? No, okay.
Yeah, he opens the vault to find that his wives are missing.
Yeah, they're all gone, and
yeah.
And they've all spray painted some. What did they? She etched like "We are not things" and stuff like that on the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good setup.
Well, yeah, he's like the king. He's the man.
Well, I mean, like, it's good farming, vertical farming.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to grow a lot of stuff.
What's his one son, like the bigger?
Yeah, he's got the
Okay.
2 sons.
Yeah. What is wrong with him? Like he has.
The giant one?
Yeah.
What's wrong with him? What do you mean?
Well, he's got an inhaler.
He's.
He's got an oxygen tank.
Yeah.
Oh, and so does like the little guy too.
I think it's supposed to be.
What's it
maybe
supposed to
the
be?
oxygen. Maybe
Oh.
maybe the air isn't perfect, so like they're breathing their special.
Yeah, I think the air is
I
supposed to be shitty. Like Joe himself has a air mask on.
Yeah.
And
It's talcum
and doesn't
powder.
and then his son that's like a dwarf that's in that chair, he also has like the tubes going up his nose. I don't know, maybe they all have the same asthmatic problems.
Oh, I see.
Or
Passed,
maybe-
passed down biologically.
Yeah.
What is the big guy's name? Erectus or something like that? The huge guy? He pulls out that engine at the
Yeah,
end. And he's like,
Rictus erectus.
Rictus! He like yells his own
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, I read another thing too where somebody says that the reason that they aren't together, like the brother, like the 2 brothers,
Yeah.
is because is like, well, they're kind of like Blaster Master, obviously, from
Nintendo?
Thunderdome.
Oh, I don't remember Thunderdome very well. I haven't seen it in years and years.
So anyway, but it's pretty much like somebody said that maybe like the small guy, like because of his like, disability, I don't know what you call it. Maybe he understands like a slight compassion and stuff like that. And maybe I think they indicate that he's smart or something like that at one point.
Well, he seems to be more of a strategist, and that's why he's been left behind. He's not the guy that's going to be tearing engines out of the...
Well, what they say is that the reason that he's left behind and separated from Rictus Erectus is because he's like pure strength and pure like physicality.
Yeah.
And if they were together, like Blaster Master was, then they would be able to overthrow their father. Like they would be a threat. So like what they theorize is that like Joe keeps them separate as a way to like...
But they're not separate at the beginning of the movie. Like they're in the same rooms and talking to each other
like,
and stuff.
Yeah, but they're not together. Like if they were together, then
What
they
does that
could
mean
have...
together. Like, oh, you mean like...
you don't remember Blaster?
No, I don't remember at all
So
what
it was
you're
like
talking about.
it was like the same situation except for the guy rode on the big guys.
Oh, okay.
It's like a way of like both of them surviving. Like they both needed each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he does seem to sort of recycle ideas from like the previous Mad Max movies that he uses again and stuff, and even uses some of the same actors and stuff. Like Immortan Joe was a different character in one of the previous movies, and in like Thunderdome there were actors in that had been in the other previous movies to that, Road Warrior and stuff. So
Toe Cutter.
yeah, Toe Cutter. Okay, so where do we go from here? She's being pursued through the desert now because Joe have found that his wives have been...
Yeah, well, pretty much
taken.
the rest of the movie is that like that's their
It's pretty much a pursuit, yeah.
it's a pursuit, and then they escape. They realize, like I said, that what they were looking for isn't no longer there.
Yeah.
And then they make their way back.
Right. The part where they go through where they're supposed to trade the gas with the motorcycle guys.
Yeah.
So they give them safe passage through there. Then once that doesn't work out and they're being pursued by those guys, that whole sequence, the music, I don't know if you guys noticed the score at all during that part of it. It just like swells to this incredible, it gives me goosebumps every time. I've watched this maybe 4 or 5 times, and every time I watch it, the score at this part when they're trying to shoot these motorcycle guys and stuff, I don't know, this is for me where the movie peaks actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I did notice the score
No,
a lot
I
more
didn't.
this time. I guess I was paying more attention. I don't think I pay enough attention to the music as I should.
It's really incredible in that part. I don't know why. And then that doesn't actually get used again. Like they don't use that music exactly again in the movie.
I kind of like those those characters like on the dirt bikes and that whole sequence. I kind of wish there was a little bit more like
of those guys in there. Yeah.
Because they're kind of like everywhere. And there's so few of them though. And I don't know. They're going through the canyon, right?
They kill quite a few.
Well, you see all these
Yeah.
little corners of this world, and you don't get a full look at all of them, right? They're just like, oh, here's these weird guys that live in the hills, and they're these motorcycle dudes. And
yeah, exactly.
We don't know like what does the bullet farm look like? What's that other guy, the people eater or whatever?
Yeah, there's the people eater and the bullet farmer.
The fat guy with the nose.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's syphilic.
His nose is gone. He's got like the huge, like what do they call that when your feet swell up like that? I can't remember, but
well, he's got them sweet titty rings.
So he's from the gas. He's from
Gas.
the gas.
He's a
place.
gas town. Yeah.
How did they? Oh, they just signal those guys to join the chase.
Yeah, I'm sure the different color signals
Didn't
mean
phone
different
them
things. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Hey,
they
can we
show
get the
one.
bullet-
hey,
They show
people eater.
they
the
show
bullet
one
from on the horn?
scene when they
shoot those,
leave.
like flares. Or
No, when they leave originally, you can see
yes, there's
the
like
light.
a light signal.
It's
thing.
like a mirror, right?
Yeah.
They're just flashing the light.
I guess they must have a.
So are the oceans gone?
Well, I don't know. Like how far they've only can travel so far, right?
Well, no. That's not what they say. What they say is if you drive. Max says if you drive that way,
Yeah, on the salt plain, which
All
I'm guessing is the
all
ocean.
you'll get is salt.
Right.
So I'm guessing that's the ocean.
I guess so. Yeah.
So like the water's gone.
Yeah, the only place the water is
Well, they went to the
it's
green
pumped.
place.
Yeah,
but
well,
it's
it's
not
pumped
now.
up.
It's just a swamp.
It's underground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's so much. I mean, imagine how much pollution there would be from like all they do is make gas. They there's like a refinery. There's like a smelting plant, and then they're just dumping everything.
It's actually funny because I watched that Miyazaki movie I was talking about, and there was actually some very similar ideas about like it was a post-apocalyptic thing after humans had kind of destroyed the world, and they had to try to get water from deep underground and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of weird. I watched both of those this week.
So I guess for me with the plot, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I've talked to multiple people and I said, oh yeah, I'm watching Mad Max Fury Road. And they're like, oh, that's the stupidest movie I've ever seen. I didn't even finish it because it's so bad. So if you can just sum up, because I don't know how to like explain in a way, because they said the plot is pointless. They drive one way, and then they turn around and drive back.
No.
That's
That's a way of looking at it, but that seems like a really reductive way of looking at it.
That's.
I understand.
So what would you say to that person?
Well, besides
I
the
would
fact
tell
that
them, hey,
they're fucking morons.
I'd say, hey, you know what? Fuck off and die.
Go watch. Go
No,
watch.
I mean, what are you
watch
gonna
reruns
say?
of Last Man Standing.
There's
and
nothing.
Fuck off.
You can't convince stupid people of anything. So, like, I mean,
I know. I just
We're pretty angry about this. Like fuck
no,
you.
because watching this movie is such a goddamn joy.
Yeah.
It's such a fucking sumptuous treat for the eyes.
oh yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna
The way that it's put together is so incredible. The unbelievable amount of creative ideas that are just like overflowing out of this thing. The vision that it would take to make this fucking movie is like off the fucking charts.
So yeah, and the thing is, like, there's so much, like I said, there's so much that's happening that you have to read into.
Yeah.
And like, if you look at the costume design, like I noticed, like,
Everything.
I've watched this movie like 5 times, I think now.
Oh yeah.
And like, you notice something new, like every time you watch it. With like,
Absolutely.
like there's this one part where a guy is climbing on the tractor trailer to like attack them, and he like turns, and all of a sudden he's like a doll head,
oh yeah.
and it's like, oh, like I never noticed that before. And like,
Yeah, it's like little things.
and like there's words written on the gas and pedals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like every
All their
car,
little insignias and
yeah,
everything.
and it's like there's this world that was been built. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
But as far as the actual plot goes, it's such a simple plot, and that's where the beauty lies. The beauty lies in the fact that these people, they think that there's hope outside of where they are, and they fight and they fight and they escape.
They manage to escape.
And they go and they look for that beauty, and they find that that beauty is not there. And they realize that they have to go and they have to salvage what they have, and they have to be empowered and take the control from the people who were oppressing them and fight back. I mean, what more do you want in a story?
Yeah, I don't know if it's
especially
just...
in an action movie.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Should there have been a fucking Coke deal? Like,
I don't know if it's just that...
Love story. There's
maybe,
no love story. God damn it.
Maybe it doesn't... I don't know. In a way, I think it does kind of fall into what a typical, like, theme of a Hollywood movie is. But at the same time, it doesn't.
Except for who are the main characters in the movie? Like it's women, not only women. It's women that are like teenagers, from like teenagers to like 80-year-old women are like the driving force behind what's happening. They're the agents of change.
So maybe that's the problem.
But you also get those badass like older ladies that they find.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're teenagers to 80-year-olds. Like the seed keeper and stuff like that.
That probably is the problem for.
That's
I
probably
can
the
picture a lot of dudes watching this and being like, "Oh,
These fucking chads.
this is fucking bunch of bullshit."
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if
like Max is there, but he's only there to facilitate things. He's like a helper.
Max is more like a spirit. Max is more like he's like a phantom who like he comes in, he plays a role.
Yeah.
Now
his role is to get guys to go see this movie,
and like, in his role is actually really interesting. Like he helps, he facilitates change. He brings in information, like, and explains like kind of mystically like what they really need to do. Like tells them that, but he also changes too. Like he's changed by these women,
which is interesting. And you saying that because at the end that kind of all gets just summed up.
Perfect. Yeah.
With him disappearing into the crowd.
Drifts away again into the crowd.
Yeah. And it's kind of like this spirit, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's there, but
at the same time, as he's not
I got the goosebumps right there.
At the same time as he's not the main character, he still has a complete story arc.
Yeah.
Like, he's this disenfranchised, lost person who's haunted by the ghosts of the people who he feels he let down.
Yeah.
To the point where he can't even say his name. He can't even say more than a word throughout the first
he's
good chunk of the movie.
A lot of grunting, a lot of Tom Hardy grunts.
He goes from that to like through like you really notice through like just like looks that he gives people, and like people give each other, and like
that's why Tom Hardy was the right choice to play Max, because he can convey a lot with just a look without having to say 3-4 lines of fucking dialogue.
And to get to what he does with his like features, but then the fact that he fights so hard to save Furiosa.
Yeah.
Right? And like it's a pretty cool little plot point, because like I remember seeing the first time I watched it being like, well, I mean, he's really thrifty. He like wrapped up that blood cord that he had, and he's got it all packed away nice and cleaned.
Yeah, I saw that throughout the film.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is he doing?
You can't waste that shit.
No, and then but then for him to like, you realize that he has changed by like him saying his name and telling her his name. Like, because he can finally do that again, and he's regained something of himself. And then you
get that point where he's like, I'm going back to, I can't remember what he's going to get, and he's like, if you get the truck rolling, then just keep going. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? And at that point already, he's like, you guys just go.
Yeah. Well, so I want to talk.
And at first, he's just trying to steal the truck to like save himself. But
so we should probably talk about some we should get into the action pretty soon.
Yeah, so pacing, I don't even know if we need to get into the pacing, because the pacing's nonstop. There's like, pacing wise,
I'd say that it's almost perfect. The one thing is that because it's such a fast paced movie, those few moments, especially later in the movie, like when they stop to see the older ladies and stuff, those do start to feel like they drag a little bit, but only because they're in contrast to the rest of this movie that's moving like fucking a freight train.
And I think that in the moment, I thought the same thing. So like when I was watching it, I was like,
it's not that they're bad scenes
but like it is like, oh, this is all of a sudden like what's happening. It's only 15 minutes, I think, of it actually being like slightly
where those little stops.
Yeah. But there's so much that happens that, like you understand in those minutes, and it gives you I like it because it gives you time to reflect a little bit on like what's happened, And then it just goes like straight back into like Freight Train. So like, yeah.
All right, let's talk about action then.
I think that one of my favorite scenes right off the first one I think of is the fight between Max and Furiosa and all of the wives. Mm-hmm. And then Nux waking up, and then they're chained together.
Yeah.
Like it's so that scene was so crazy choreographed.
He's got the shotgun that doesn't work that he's using to try to get him to cut the chains and stuff, and then she tries to use it on him and she grabs it and it doesn't work. So she would have killed him right there.
Yeah, it's so great. And then like when
she's awesome in this too. Like
she's fantastic.
You never doubt that she's like as tough as fucking nails. Like,
no.
That's true.
And we talked about how Tom Hardy looks like he said he conveys a lot with his eyes, but throughout the film, like she conveys so much, like I feel like intelligence and like understanding. Like every time something she really like Max changes what he does, like he's kind or he helps out. It's like she's like calculating, like, all right, can I trust him more? What can I use?
Yeah, well, it's just like you were saying that Max softens throughout the movie, so does she, right, towards him.
Because why would she ever trust a man?
Well, yeah, true enough.
Why would she ever trust a man? And then, like, so...
Yeah, I mean, they're coming from a place where...
Well, in the scene where they fight...
Absolutely subjugated all the time.
Yeah.
She attacks him first, physically. Like, he does some... He's drinking the water. And then she, like, tackles him.
Oh, yeah, one of the wives is going to use the bolt cutters.
Yeah.
So then she tackles him, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what you would expect... I think that what she would expect at the end of that is that he would kill her.
Yeah.
At the end of that fight. Which is, like, one of the slickest parts of the entire movie, too. When Nux,
he fires into the sand? Or
yeah, when Nux... He pushes her down. He's on top of her. He's got the gun. He jams it down as Nux like jams the magazine up.
Yeah.
And then he fires in like a half circle around her head.
Yeah.
It's like so slick. And like you're on the edge of your seat watching it. But so in that scene, she probably should have, must have expected him to kill her. Mm-hmm. And then he doesn't. And then she must be like, what the fuck? Like, this guy just he beat me. He should have killed me. He didn't. I want, like, why? So, like, her character must have been, like, going crazy at that time. Like, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's like such a contradiction to what is
everyone
normal.
Would behave from
yeah,
her
is
world.
normal in that world, right?
Yeah, like, having physical authority over somebody means that you can kill them. You can do whatever.
Yeah. Another a thing I read before watching the movie, which just made the action that much better for me, was there's only 20% of this film is actually CGI. The rest is all.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all the cars crashing and all that shit is all real.
Yeah.
I watched
which is crazy.
I don't know. I watched one of the little videos.
The guys on the poles that
the pole cats.
Yeah.
I watched the video and when you have the color correction and you edit things out, right? It's pretty crazy what they do. And I read part of that is that no one got hurt. There was no injuries. The worst that happened was sunburned lips.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's incredible.
I know. So also this film is filmed in sequence.
Yeah, it was filmed in the order
of
things, yeah.
And apparently the whole Tom Hardy, his issue with the director might have come from, I guess, partway through, he kind of went to the director and he's like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we filming? Because they had no idea. Because all they have around them is just...
Desert.
Desert, all these rigs, these wires and all this shit. They don't really know what they're filming, and
it was hard to see the vision that this guy had in his mind.
Well, yeah,
it must have been his name George Miller.
Yeah,
it must have been impossible.
Yeah.
So then he said, Tom Hardy said after watching it that he owes him an apology and that he's brilliant.
Yeah, apparently he apologized to him at Cannes or whatever. But
that just warms my heart.
don't know if Charlize ever got an apology.
Well, we don't know what Charlize
no,
did.
I don't know what.
Didn't Charlize date Sean Penn?
I don't know. Sure.
Sean Penn's a real
Let's get
piece
back
of shit.
to talking about these action sequences because
Yeah.
they're fucking unbelievable.
I think we could spend twice the length of the movie just talking about the
Yeah.
action scenes.
Like I'm sitting there watching it, getting all like hyped up, like
fuck,
watching
yeah.
it, like oh fuck
It
yeah.
doesn't matter how many times you watch it. It's just like every time you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And they keep finding like inventive ways to up the ante for shit. Like by the time you get to them when they're pursuing them on the way back,
Oh yeah.
and all those guys are doing the poles like swinging down and
Well,
grab Hardy, swing him over to this car. Like
Yeah, when they
When the
were
polecat-
doing that,
yeah.
like that was pretty remarkable. When they had like the kind of like the wide shot where it shows all the pursuit vehicles and those guys on the poles going back and forth. Like it's just amazing.
But like it's like 3/4 of the way through the movie near the end when like the pole guy comes down, grabs one like the youngest looking wife, I think.
oh yeah, and takes
And
her
like
back to
takes her and like
Joe's car.
and it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, just the cars themselves.
The cars are insane.
Like they're just Joe's car, the double layer, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cadillac or whatever the fuck it is, and then like you've got the tank, the bullet guy's car, like
Yeah.
the tank tracks.
Oh, can we talk about that scene with the bullet guy? So when they're chasing, the bullet guy's chasing, and then that
He's shooting in the dark. That's
before that, it's pretty awesome because they count their bullets, and Max has got 3 bullets with the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
3 shots. He takes 2, he misses. And that's another thing. He doesn't even say anything. She doesn't say anything. She just walks over, and she's not like, give me the gun. She's just like there and being like,
Yeah, he
Yeah,
kind of
he
like,
just is
relents. He's like,
oh, I'm getting,
Yeah.
And then he like gives her the gun, and then I love this, and she puts the gun on his shoulder to like steady it,
yeah,
and then takes a shot, blinds him.
it hits that light
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
his face,
And then
it's like, hold a flare.
It's
We
like-
are like, in front of me. It's like
Yeah.
right in front of your eyes.
So then like he's like firing wildly and stuff like that, and then I love this scene that like, is really nothing, where he says, go up a half a click and wait. As soon as the engine gets going or whatever, if I'm not back, then just keep going.
Yeah,
And he just goes. You don't know what he does,
Yeah.
but he comes back with tons of bullets and guns, and he's got a boot for Nux,
Yeah.
and he's covered in blood. And a woman's like, is he hurt? He's like, is he hurt? Is that blood?
Yeah, you're bleeding.
And then somebody's like, that's not his blood.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't even need to see what happened to just know that whatever happened was like epic.
Which just leads into this whole like he's just a spirit, just he's like unstoppable.
He's a force.
Yeah.
Yeah. But another scene that I quickly thought of is with the bikes. You're saying how much you like them.
Yeah.
But is
the bike scene might be my favorite.
the bike scene the scene where she's like underneath? Yeah, she's underneath.
Yeah, and she climbs up, and then she's like, those guys are coming off of jumps, and she picking them off with the rifle as
But
they're like arcing over.
when the
truck.
guy slides the bike underneath.
Yeah, to get a hold of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just this whole movie is nonstop action.
it's a
So
barrage
it's kind of like
awesomeness.
Yeah, well, totally.
I mean, what else?
I mean, it's
Okay,
just like
if you had to pick a scene.
even on the way back, like the scene where they're like, okay, so we're gonna go back, and then they decide to go back, and then you see all the pursuit vehicles, and everyone's just kind of hanging out, and they're just kind of like brushing themselves off, and it's like they're heading back, and it's like, oh shit, let's all get in the vehicle, and then it just all starts all over again.
And we haven't even talked about the musicians, like the
guitar
yeah.
guy?
Yeah, the guitar guy.
yeah, well, the guitar guy and the drums. Like the drums are such an
The
integral.
giant drums, yeah.
Yeah, they're such an integral part of like
War
the
drums.
entire thing. And I was like thinking about like that, and I was thinking about old timey like war. Whenever I think of old war, I think of like the bugle, and I think of like the drums, like leading them into battle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But instead of like these like little tiny timpani, or not timpani, I guess that's the opposite. The little drums though, like that the people would play.
Yeah.
It's like these gigantic,
Yeah.
huge drums that are just like.
Guitar guy crashed.
And the guitar guy, what's
His flamethrower guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Doof.
controlled by his like whammy bar.
Yeah.
The Doof Warrior?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other specific things. Oh, like, I don't know, the whole way he takes out the people eater guy and stuff, getting in his car or his truck or whatever. And
Yeah,
then,
he uses them as a shield.
yeah. Stamps his like fat foot down on the gas.
What about the first scene when you see Max attached to the front of the vehicle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty intense too.
Yeah, it's like the King of the World scene, but like metal.
Yeah. I would say one of my favorite scenes is when he has the file behind his head.
Yes.
And then he just leaves the file in there, and then you see him a little while later, and he's just like trying to get it off.
working at it?
Yeah.
So he plays the role like a rabid dog.
Oh, totally.
Throughout the first like good chunk, he barely says any
And
words.
he's just like,
He like
Yeah.
he grunts. He's just like a beast. He's great. He's just
Max
so great.
Rockatansky or something. What is it?
You need to know at least one full name, or have a computer in front of you.
Yeah.
Well, it's Max Rockatansky.
Is that okay? I know it is. Whatever. You know what?
It's his last name is never given in any of the previous Mad Max movies. He's just Max.
It's not given in this movie.
It's not given, but it's in the credits. That's what
It's
his
not
name is.
in. Okay, it's not in the other ones, eh?
No, it's never mentioned.
So, do you have a favorite? Like your favorite scene? That's it.
Favorite scene? Well, favorite scene is probably him with the
So
file.
it's when it
Yeah.
starts
But,
all the way to the end part. That's the
yeah,
that's the
it's
best scene.
kind of, I don't know, favorite action sequence. I would say probably in the canyon with the dirt
Canyon's
bike.
pretty great. I can't say that's my favorite though. I do love that scene.
I also like that shot where they have that wide shot of all the pursuit vehicles and those guys on those poles going back and forth.
Yeah, that's the last.
That's
But
pretty
that's
awesome.
when they have the older women with them too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when you get the snipers
They're picking guys off. with
picking guys off
headshots
as they
and
like
stuff.
do the
The old
bikes
lady
over
that
top.
has her bag of different seeds and herbs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is kind of a sad.
It's
Sad
very
death.
sad, but like, but she kept the seeds.
Yeah, she takes. The
She's
seeds.
like, she's literally hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once again, yeah, but like she's going to allow them to have like a new world, possibly.
That is the hope. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of at a loss for what else to say because it's just like
You could just talk
I don't
about
know.
every
It's
single
so,
thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so fucking good. And watching it, I was just like, this is a movie that came out only a few years ago, and it's one of the best action movies ever made, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there any memorable lines
Oh yeah, there's like
that you have?
there's like the Valhalla lines.
Yeah, all the shiny and chrome stuff.
Shiny
I guess
and
like their
chrome.
weird lingo they have,
Yeah.
but it's not like they are memorable lines because it's like they're almost like their own language.
Yeah.
But they're not like the type of lines that kind of enter into the cultural like
No.
zeitgeist and people are saying them to each other. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I have heard a few people make like Valhalla jokes or whatever, but
Yeah, I don't think that there's any in that sense. I think that like this like movie relies. There's not that much dialogue in the film,
No.
right? So it's almost like you almost have to treat it more like a
he's telling the story through
Physical,
everything you're
yeah.
seeing. There's actually a quote from George Miller. He said he wanted to do what Hitchcock had said, which was to make a movie that you could show in Japan and they'd understand it without any.
It's so crazy. I was
That's
actually
interesting.
I was thinking about that while watching the movie. I was like, this could be a silent movie, like no, not silent, but with no dialogue,
Yeah.
with no dialogue at all, and you
Well, I
would
mean, you could
still
still have the little dialogue there is, and if you watched it and didn't know the dialogue, you'd still
yeah,
you'd
okay,
still understand
That's
what
yeah.
was happening.
yeah. It wouldn't matter. Like this, it transcends everything. It's not a silent movie because you need to have like the music and everything and the sounds, but so I think this movie is full of tropes though. Like it's got like every single.
I must have been brain dead after I watched it. I I had just finished watching it like this morning at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are the tropes in this? I like couldn't think of anything, and my brain was like,
Have you gone online and just like looked up like common tropes and tropes and stuff like that though?
well, no, not really, but I feel like I usually recognize them when I see them. And I'm not saying there aren't ones in this movie, but I just was not in the mode to like think
there's
about
like
it.
mundane made awesome is like a random one.
So would a trope be like all the people that have like no water, and then the bad guy has all the water? Is that a trope?
Oh yeah, he has all the power.
I don't know what
Yeah,
the
he has
words
all
are,
the-
but like what the title is at, but like I was say this, like the mundane made awesome. Okay, that's a trope. So that means like a regular everyday thing. That would be like nothing. So, you know, it's nothing. But in the movie, it's like, that's fucking awesome. Like, that's so cool, right? So like think of the scene when one of the wives like drives the truck or does something, and then Max like gives her like a wink, like a knowing nod.
Okay.
And it's like supposed to be like a cool moment.
That just made me think of something funny I read, which was that when they were shooting the movie, every time the wives' clothing would kind of like slip out of place or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
instead of Tom Hardy saying anything to them, he would like
Yeah, give
bulge his eyes like, woo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they knew to readjust their clothes.
Oh, what a day, what a lovely day. That's a pretty good quote.
That's a pretty good quote.
It's like, so we've created this.
Oh, what does she say to Joe when she kills him? Remember me or whatever? Like, you know, because he's supposed to, he'd remember them in Valhalla or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got her arm thing looks great. Like the way that they made it look like she had no arm. She had
Yeah. So I just finished watching Godless a while ago, and I heard that Jeff Daniels had to hold his arm behind his back
Oh, yeah.
throughout the entire filming.
Yeah.
Like not just wear a green sock, but like actually had to hold his arm behind his
really?
back. And I wonder if she had to too, because it feels like that would just be rough.
No,
I don't
she
think so.
she just had her arm was, she had like a green,
Yeah.
I guess, sock almost. I don't know what you call it.
So if you go on like tvtropes.org, right, and you look up Mad Max,
Like I think
they don't even have a They don't even have a page. Shit, they don't have a page for it. They have it broken down the tropes into tropes A to E, tropes F to K, tropes L to P, tropes Q to S.
They really
and
break it down.
Like there's so many. I'm pretty sure with the what was the last movie we did? Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
They had just a page of it. So like there's just
Oh, yeah. See, with Lethal Weapon, I can see there being tons of shit. And especially because it also, itself kind of like invents a lot of tropes.
so like here we go, like failed attempted I'll go F's. Failed attempted drama, fan disservice, fat bastard, feminist fantasy,
Fat
final
bastard.
battle,
Fat bastard is a trope.
fire forged friends. Fire forged friends, that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
Like so there's just like so many, like you can't even
There's
talk
a lot
about all
of,
of them.
I guess. I mean, like almost everything.
Future
is something,
slang.
right?
That's a cool trope.
Future slang.
Yeah, I like that.
You got to have it, right? Because it sets itself as it's like.
well, that's what this movie has.
Yeah.
They have-
Well, I mean, it's kind of also old slang that's
Yeah.
just being used again.
Yeah.
But it works for here because most people watching the movie aren't Australian, so they don't
Yeah.
know Australian slang words.
God Emperor, go out with a smile. I mean, there's.
Strong, silent type male character.
I think we need to. I think that going forward, I think we need to like understand more ourselves what quotes and what tropes are. I know I do.
Yeah.
I can't speak for anybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like you say, there.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, there's just like there's so many. Heroic sacrifice.
I
Heroic
almost
second
don't want to
wind.
get that into that stuff because it kind of like it's like the looking behind the curtain or seeing how the sausage is made kind of thing. Like you don't want to overthink about it because then every single movie you watch, you're just like, oh, this is this thing.
It's true.
This
I'm
is
just.
this thing.
I just want to. I just think it has a lot. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it could have any more than it does. So. I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah. All right, so your final reaction.
I'll go last. You guys don't want to hear about it?
Well, we're just talking about the reaction score. I give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh, the reaction. Oh, the reaction's 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I give it a 9.
Now, earlier when I looked at the scores, you guys had both given it a 9.
Yeah, I changed it. I changed my scores.
Yeah.
I had been going to come in here and be like, if this isn't a 10, what the fuck is?
That's the question.
I have in my mind what a 10 would be, but
a fictional movie that doesn't
no,
exist?
No, it's a real movie.
You can think of a movie that's a 10 to you?
I can think of a couple, but
yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I don't know. I just went with 9, and I just...
You don't have to justify it. Well, you do, kind of.
Well,
no,
I say it, and then you're like, what are you talking about?
Okay, but let's be clear. I gave everything a 10.
You're wrong.
Hey, you're an idiot. Get out of here.
I gave it a perfect score. Where you guys didn't. I don't think that this movie... I think it's... Is it perfect? No movie's ever going to be perfect. Is this the...
I can think of one.
Yeah. That's our 1-year anniversary movie.
Let's talk about each thing. What do you like?
So plot, James.
So plot, I gave it an 8. The plot, like, I don't need to get into it again. I guess we already talked.
We covered it. I gave it a 7 because it is a simplistic plot. But on the other hand, if you made it more complex, you wouldn't have this pace. So it's a tough call.
Well, why give it a 7?
I gave it a 10.
Why give it a 7 then?
It's a 10.
Because it still manages to mostly convey its story.
Why not give it an
pretty
8?
well?
I gave it an 8.
I think it manages to convey its story pretty well, considering the constraints that it's set for itself.
Cool.
10. 10.
John's 10.
Kills actions? Fucking 10.
10. Definitely. Pacing? 9.
10.
I give pacing a 9 as well, but only because, like I said, those other scenes, which aren't really bad scenes, and they're not boring scenes, they just drag in comparison in contrast to the other.
Yeah.
Those scenes...
Agreed.
Those scenes, all they do is they amplify everything else. Everything is in service.
I'm just saying how it feels when I'm watching it.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I get like gear down there, right? Like it's like, oh, okay. It switches mood so much that it's a bit hard to
lose your fucking boner there for a second.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But you know how good that boner is till you get it back.
You don't know how good it is till you get it back.
Quotes and tropes.
It's a big old 10 for, buddy.
Gave it a 7.
Yeah, I think I also gave it a 7.
Yeah, you gave it a 7.
I don't think it's full of like super memorable quotes.
No, not the quotes, the tropes.
Right, but we're doing both.
Yeah, okay, fine.
So overall reaction,
10.
I gave it a 9. So the funny thing is like I gave overall reaction a 9, but yours and mine overall reaction is still 8.6.
That's because we're talking about other things that to me don't matter as much as the end point where I say what my overall feeling.
Why even do the other ones then?
Because this is the system you created.
Okay.
Whoa.
I'm just living in it,
dude.
Oh, okay.
This is a 3-way team. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a triforce.
You don't take any responsibility.
Right. Okay, but we've
this?
talked about this before. Here's all the categories. Okay, we can break down each one, and I might give something a 3 in a movie and still have the overall feeling that it's a 10.
Yeah.
So so our score is the same. I'm just saying overall, this movie's a fucking 10.
Okay, it's a 10. I'm not jumping down your throat that you gave it a 10.
No, you just asked me to justify what I said, and I'm
let the
doing
record
that.
state that I gave this movie a 10.
John gave it a 10.
Boom.
So noted.
Yeah, it's a 10, man. This movie's fucking great.
Let's talk about George Miller is 70 fucking years old when he made this film.
He's 70 years
70.
old.
So he's 77 now?
I guess. And he's still
he's 70?
Still
so
in
he's 72.
So he's still in litigation with
who?
Warner Brothers. So that's why they haven't started making the next Mad Max movie yet.
Holy
Damn
shit.
fucking fuckers.
Because they were supposed to give him more money depending on how much it made.
Oh,
and
really?
They don't want to.
Oh, because they're like, this made like like a god amount of money.
And they're like, oh no, because he went over budget, and the agreement was if he didn't go over budget, blah blah blah. So all this, I don't know. They're locked in legal proceedings.
Didn't they have 11 Oscar nominations or something like that, or 10? They had 10 Oscar nominations, I think.
And they won 6.
Well, what do they want? It's fucking people.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Tom Hardy's already signed on for how many more? I think 3 more.
Oh really? I only know they were doing 1 more for sure. but
I think he signed on. I think it said that he signed on for 3 more.
Sounds great.
Next one's supposed to be called Mad Max Wasteland or the Wasteland.
I think you're gonna say wait and see.
Wait and see.
There's that quote about being in the wasteland at the end of the
Mad Max waiting to exhale.
Mad Max Golden Retriever.
Oh yeah, I just saw an ad for Beethoven the Fourth today.
You saw an ad for Beethoven the Fourth?
Yeah, like I was watching the VHS copy of the fucking Grinch, and before that,
Beethoven
the Fourth.
Like,
remember those Beethoven movies when we were kids?
The dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the dog. Not like the fucking
I think I only ever saw the
pianist.
first Beethoven film with Charles Grodin.
Charles Grodin,
Roll over Beethoven.
Charles Grodin's a real salty fucker, eh?
I've heard that, yeah. I don't know a lot about it.
All right, so I guess that moves it to the top of the list.
Yeah, new number one.
Number one with a bullet.
Sorry, the Raid Redemption. You have been usurped.
And
much like Immortan Joe was in the film.
Yeah, okay, cool. It's a great movie. Great pick, John. Thanks, John.
If you haven't seen it, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, I mean, just watch. I'll buy it for you.
I'll buy it. Just get in touch with me.
No, I did. I did buy it. There's only like 6 people listening, and I'm married to one of them. So,
so I guess whose turn is it to pick next?
Dustin.
It's mine.
Oh, okay. So have you thought about it?
Ski school?
Have, yeah.
Is it ski school?
It isn't going to be ski school. I considered ski school pretty seriously. I had like 4 different movies I was going back and forth on, and I've selected Enter the Dragon, starring Bruce Lee.
Oh,
really?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Never seen it.
I feel like we needed to go back old timey.
Really?
Old time?
70s.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean, we've been
kind of in the 80s.
We were in the 80s. We did some 90s. We did like 3 90s or like 2 90s and a late 80s.
We've done one movie from the 2000s, I think.
No, Raid.
No.
It's from the 2000s.
Two.
On Back is from
3.
2000s.
You got me.
Half Past Dead.
Yeah.
Half Past. Oh yeah, that's. Half Past Dead feels like a 90s movie.
It does. It could have come out in 95. But yeah, it's Enter the Dragon.
Okay, cool.
All right, well, thanks so much for listening. Please check our list out. We've got it up on our website, actionpodcast.com. You can also check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Most importantly, though, please download us, subscribe, and please tell your friends. If you enjoy this, it means a lot if you tell people about it. It means a lot if you rate and review us. It's how we get more people to see us. So please do that. Yeah, we hope you guys like this one, and please come back for the next.